Welcome to Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinort and I am recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. Today I have something new to show you. There is a new video by Joseph and today he is going to show you how to make an image using the sketch effect. Hi, my name is Joseph and today I am going to show you how to create a sketch effect using GIMP 2.4. To show you the sketch effect, I am going to work with the layers. The next thing that I am going to do is to rename these layers so that I can get an idea about which layer I am working on. So I select the top layer and then go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. I move around in the image with the help of the preview to get a spot where we can see some lines, and blur radius is very important here. I have created two previews here to show you the difference you get using 30 blur radius and 5 blur radius. For this image, I will keep the blur radius as 15 and click on OK. Now we have got a nice blur on the top layer. So the next thing we need to do is to invert the colors. So go to Colors, Invert. Now we go back to our toolbox, select the top layer and set its opacity to 50% and we get a nice gray image. Now we will merge these two layers together by right clicking on the top layer and select Merge Visible Layer and click on Merge. The next thing I want to do is to increase the contrast in the image, and to do that I select the Levels tool. As you can see that most of the information in this image is in the middle and I have to slide the slider to that value. Now I slide the middle slider to the left so that I get the image a little whiter. And click on OK. And now you can see that the lines are started to come out, but we still got some colors in the image. So I go to Color, Desaturate and select Luminosity option, and now we have got a black and white image. Now I select again the Levels tool and adjust the slider to get more contrast in the image. Adjust the slider in such a way that you get a good contrast in the image. I think this is good. So now we have got an image with a good sketch effect. I think we should make a border to this image. So I create a new layer, name it as white and select layer fill type as white, and temporarily I decrease the value of opacity so that we can see through the image. Now I select rectangle selection tools from the toolbox and draw an rough selection into the image and adjust the rectangle. Once we are finished with adjusting the rectangle, go to the left corner and click on Toggle Quick Mask, and we get a black and white border which can be edited. We can use filters to create some interesting effects. So I go to Filters, Distort, Waves, and in this box you can see that there are lots of options for creating some interesting borders. I adjust the slider so that I get a little wave. That looks good. Now I want to add some blur. So go to filters, but I think I should use some different effect. So I go to noise and choose spread. And I set the horizontal to 22. So now go to the toggle quick mask button and click on it, and you can see here there are margins area, which means that we got a selection. Now I am going to add a layer mask to that layer and fill it with white for full opacity, and there is a selection in the image. We can drag black color into that selection and make our area there completely transparent. I go to select none, go back to the layer that we had temporarily set transparent, and we will increase the opacity to 100%. Later on, if you want to change the color of your border, all you have to do is to go to the color dialog, select a color and drag in that layer, and you get a different colored layer. That was a nice sketch effect, and thank you Joseph for this video. Now let's look what has happened there. I have prepared here an image, and I have here a gray gradient from black to white and a area filled with white and black, and I have already doubled the layer, which is the first step. Now I want to invert this image, so go to colors, invert. You see that this image is now exactly the opposite, and I reduce the opacity to 50%, and the whole image is grey. That's because half of black plus half of white gives grey, and here half of white plus half of black also gives grey. So next step is to blur this layer. So go to filters, blur, Gaussian blur. I have unblocked this chain here so that I can change only the vertical blur and not horizontal blur, because the image will get very confusing. So this is my desired result, and I click on OK. Now you see here dark gray and light gray lines. These lines here are the result of blurring of the foreground. When I zoom in here and enhance the opacity, you see here black, white, and in between there is a gradient. On the other layer we have white and black, and now it's not the exactly opposite. So decrease the opacity, and now you can see that on one side it's dark gray and on the other side it's medium gray. Here it's medium gray and here also. But first let's look at the trick of the eye. Here it's definitely darker than this one here. So I select the color picker, and we can see that here it's 128, 128, 128 for red, green and blue, and 50% gray, and it's medium gray. And here it's 127, 127, 127, also 50% gray. Here there are little shades which is basically the same color, and we have 127 on this side and 128 on this side. If we divide 255 by 2, we get either 127 or 128 if you have no floating point. Now I have to merge these layers. So go to Layer, Merge Down. So here get the color level that Joseph had in his image. And now I can just pull these sliders and make black darker and gray whiter. You can see a line of variable thickness, and if I pull these sliders to left, then line gets finer and finer. So let's look at the whole image. Shift Ctrl E, and you see here I have lines instead of the gradient and color fills I had before. I hope you understand this and you can try doing it. Some images look very good with this effect, and Joseph's image was so funny. I love it. This week I start a new segment at Meet the GIMP. If you go to the home page, and down there on the right side you find the way to photo group at 23hq.com, and there are lot of your images which I show, and from week to week I will take one of them and say something about it, and today I will take this one here. It is made by Manzelman at the fireworks, and he asks for comment regarding the white balance and the color in this image, and I think it's worth looking at. I have commented, but that was only in German. Okay, let's have a look. This is his image, simply pulled off from the website and dropped here on the toolbox, and then GIMP opens the image from the web. I think the sky has to get little darker. The building here at the bottom is great. That has to stay in the image. But the sky here should be nearly black, not really black like this. And perhaps some of this smoke clouds here can be saved. So I select the curves tool, and let's see what we can do. You can see here that we have a lot of white color in this image here. The exposure in this image is very good, and the values are very well distributed in the histogram, and we have black here. You see that's not really black. We can make this a bit darker here. So I can pull this black point up to here. The black point is definition of black, and I now can say this is black. So you can see that it's the firework a bit more prominent, and I want to make this part of the histogram a bit darker. So I place a point here and just pull the curve down. I have to leave a bit of room here for the building. I think this is the important part of the building. So I pull the curve down here and I can see the building is still there. Now this area here is dark and this white. Perhaps this is now a bit too white. So I just pull this down. Let's try something strange. No, that doesn't work. Just pull the points out. I haven't tried this before, so little bit of experimenting. I think this works. At first, looking at the image to make it a bit warmer, but now the colors come out very good. I think this is it for this image. For more information, go to meetthegimp.org, and if you want to send a comment, please write to info@meetthegimp.org. Goodbye. This is Hemant Vaidande dubbing for the Spoken Tutorial project.